boaters and sailors of Reddit, what is the scariest or most unexplainable thing you've experienced at sea? My father raced a 42 sailboat from Marion, MA to Bermuda, twice. He said the scariest part of it was just how utterly pitch black dark it is out there on a cloudy moonless night. They had to reset a breaker or something like that, and had to turn the running lights off at one point. Dad said it was nearly impossible to tell if his eyes were open or closed. On the other hand, he said seeing the clear night sky full of stars with zero light pollution was absolutely breathtaking. It wasn't until then that he understood how ancient celestial navigation was possible. I want to see a truly dark night sky so goddamn badly. Edit, guys, I know about dark sky parks. Right now it's not feasible for me to travel 300 miles to the nearest one. Maybe next year, once I've gone off to college. Also, I can't drive. I am totally with you on this one. I feel like seeing all those stars without light pollution will be the closest I ever get to space. Sailing through the Bahamas, you can sometimes get relatively calm spots of water even if the wind is blowing a good 10-15 knots. One night it was that eerie sort of calm, clear, and I was at the helm by myself. We sailed through a patch of phosphorescent bacteria and the ocean glittered in such a way that you couldn't tell where the sky ended and the water began. It felt like I was sailing through space. A guy in Florida gave the boat I was on coordinates for somewhere between the Turks and Caicos Banks and Hispaniola, saying there was something mind-blowing out there and we had to check it. I guess he told the captain what it was, but he wanted to keep it a surprise. When we reached the coordinates, which required some motoring, we found a source of constant bubbling. We didn't really understand what it was until the captain threw a bucket over the side and filled it up from the bubbling water, and drank out of it. It was a pillar of fresh water coming from some vent in the ocean floor. Bizarre. I've experienced number one in the Pacific off the coast of Baja. It was so trippy. I would have to say seeing a whale larger than my boat pull up alongside me. Right then I realized that there are some big scary things in the ocean and it ain't me. Coolest thing I saw, besides the sunsets, were close to 50 dolphins using our wake to have fun. The odd thing was that they could coordinate so well, that they would fly out a wave created by our wake 10 in a row all at once. It was interesting to see just how smart other beings on Earth can be. I served in the Navy on SSBN submarines. Picture for scale. We were doing drills by the coast of Alaska in the winter, think deadliest catch type waves. I was on my way to drive the boat and we had to come up to periscope depth for the drill. As we are coming up you can start to feel the waves really bad. I have to hold on to the walls as I am moving around the boat. Sometimes I have to stop unless I want to slide down the hallways. I look around and things are coming untied. It's getting crazy. I start to wonder is I can even make it the 100 feet to go stand watch. We are going up and down so fast there are moments that my feet are not touching the ground. I'm thinking that we are surfaced. Then I hear that we are about to get to periscope depth. In a sea state 9+ with hurricane force winds. I hurry to go relieve the watch and buckle in, then things start getting really scary. We get to depth as best we could. Everyone is trying their best to keep the ship level. The ship is rolling like crazy. The only thing keeping me in my seat is the seat belt. On the intercom 3 people are injured from things coming unbolted. It's so bad out the periscope is useless because we keep going from 100 feet underwater to 50 feet in the air and the air is filled with sea foam. Then the wave I will tell my grandkids about someday happened. The submarine goes almost vertical. You can hear screams of men worried if they will get to see their wife again, and wondering if they will get to see tomorrow. Then we hit the peak of the wave. The depth gauge isn't working because it's out of the water. The boat comes down fast. The submarine hits the water and everything goes black for a second. I've been thinking this is how I die. The lights turn on and we are told to get as deep as possible. Then everything returns as normal. That is the story of how I took $1 billion ship flying. Off the coast of Cuba I was laying there looking at the stars and suddenly I just see this bright flash. I've since decided it was an iridium flare. In the Bahamas a large glow appeared below the boat for a few seconds. Only thing I can think of was maybe a whale churning up plankton. I bet the stars look amazing on a clear night out there. Very nice. When I was on the Coast Guard's pirate ship Eagle we sailed in the Caribbean. I remember looking up at the night sky with binoculars and seeing more stars than I have ever seen before. Then whenever I focused in on the spaces between the stars, I'd see even more stars. A pretty great experience. Most midwater animals come up to the top couple hundred feet of ocean to feed, hunt at night. There are a lot of animals that most would refer to as deep-sea creatures, but they actually hang out in the middle of the water column rather than the actual deep sea. For example, if you are over water that is 10k feet, 3050 meters, these organisms would spend 90% of their lives chilling around 6k feet, 1200 to 1800 meters, so they're still deeper dwelling creatures. But they don't live in or ever visit them benthic depths near the ocean floor. As you probably know, a very large proportion of deeper dwelling animals are bioluminescent, which is used for a number of things, but the two main uses are to attract prey, or repel predators, and to communicate with each other in an environment almost entirely. It's extremely likely that rather than a whale or something else swimming through plankton, you saw a large school of some midwater bioluminescent organism that encountered something, predator, prey, whatever, and all flashed at once in response. For example, this is a picture of a tank of firefly squid doing their thing after being caught by fishermen. They look like this in the light, but in the dark they look like this. Disclaimer, it was not this animal you saw, they live in the Pacific. I'm just using them as an example. Source: I'm a marine biologist. I delivered a sailboat from Clearwater, Florida to the Big Bend area of Florida. Going straight across puts me about 75 miles offshore at the farthest. It turned out to be flat calm, no breeze at all, so we motored the whole way. Just about at the farthest point offshore, 60 to 75 miles at least, I saw a black dot on the horizon. As we got closer it turned out to be a 12-foot aluminium john boat with about a 6-horsepower outboard motor and 3 guys in it. At least 60 plus miles from shore. I wouldn't trust a boat like that more than about how far I could swim from shore. I went right past them, stopped and asked if they were okay. One of them looked at me like I was crazy. Of course we are. Well, okay then. Good luck, you dudes. Do you know that we are at least 60 plus miles from shore? I was in my 15-foot boat about 2 miles out in Donegal Bay fishing over a sandbank. Looking back to shore about 300 meters off my stern between me and the shore, a perisub came out of the water and went back down in about a minute and a half. We Irish don't have any subs in our navy, so I have no idea who the hell that was. Strange-looking blunt-faced dolphins coming up to the bow to just stare at us. These particular dolphins looked like they were from another planet, but after some research they were, in fact, of this planet lol. If a strange, pale, half-octopus-looking creature was making a ruckus on the roof of your home, you'd probably stare too. The closest thing to anything remotely resembling a human that those creatures have ever seen was probably a starfish. A starfish? Where did you see these at? I might be able to tell you the species of cetacean if you give me a location. In all likelihood they were some species of porpoise, which are actually not a dolphin, although they share many similarities. Also a bit on the coloration would be nice as well. I was a Pacific sailor, USN. I think we were near Washington State or Alaska. I could be wrong. I was a sailor for an extended period of time and it was almost 3 years ago. If it was primarily black it was a Dall's porpoise, very likely as this is a very social animal known to bow ride along boats. If it was grey it was a harbour porpoise, less likely as they are much more timid and wary of people. If you were out in open ocean it was almost certainly the Dall's porpoise. Dall's porpoise are actually pretty awesome animals, although they don't jump from the water, too bulky, They are capable of moving up to 55 kilometers per hour, and on average, travel in groups of 2 to 12. If you were traveling quickly, it's very likely they would keep interested. My father and I were sailing from Key West to Tampa. Takes about a week. Like midnight we saw running lights ahead of us, green and red. Was too dark and hazy to see anything besides the lights. Followed them for 3 hours or so before we heard a really loud noise, kinda like when an old wood door opens but really deep. Then the lights were gone. Haze cleared up about an hour later, and we could see ocean in every direction during the sunrise. Nothing there. On a lighter note, that same trip at around 4 a.m. a few days later, my dad was at the helm and I was napping on the deck, and I heard him yell out in a panic. Turns out he was nodding off and a flying fish hit him right in the face, It was still flopping around on deck, haha. Edits, yeah? I know running lights face the front and have backing so you can't see them from behind. I pulled the colors out of my ass from what I remembered about running lights. The details are really fuzzy in my brain because this was 20 years ago. I just remember following lights, and noise, and the confusion at the disappearance of the probable vessel. Also, how the fuck is this my highest rated comment? Edits again. Oh, and sure, Key West to Tampa takes less time if you're doing it wrong. And by wrong I mean not stopping at every neat little island, or fishing constantly, or just generally doing vacation things. The dry tortugas are fucking gorgeous, and if you don't stop there for at least a few days you have your priorities messed up. I was sailing from Chicago to South Haven, Michigan at night. We were hit by such a bad storm halfway it blew all the swallows 45 miles out to sea. Because they could see our masthead at night time, they all tried to land on it. So every time lightning struck, like every half second for 6 hours, all you could see was the deck covered in dead birds. Gave my friend a solo cup and told him to start scooping. Very weird stuff.